Jury deliberations are now set to start in the Trump hush money and election interference trial, so I thought it would be beneficial to look over the closing arguments where the prosecution again managed to absolutely tear Trump a new one, just as they've been doing with their thorough walkthrough of the evidence and the facts in this trial. The defense trying to paint this as some sinister plot against Trump that all hinges on Cohen and he's not even a credible witness, with the prosecution deciding to address that from the beginning, and flawlessly, might I add, that if you look at the evidence, you will come to a conclusion that nothing sinister is at play, before also highlighting how a majority of the witnesses they called were people loyal to Trump. And that's what MAGA wants you to forget. And yet they still gave the bulk of the evidence that the case actually hinges on. Specifically, David Pecker, who had no reason to lie and had maybe the most devastating testimony of all for Trump. Another point that he countered that the defense tried to make throughout the case, but it's also a common talking point from the right even outside of the trial, is that Stormy Daniels' testimony is irrelevant, paying a porn star hush money isn't a crime, and only these would be brought against Trump, and blah, 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 blah. Well, he perfectly articulated that if her testimony was so irrelevant, why did the defense then work so hard to discredit her? Mentioning that it's because Daniels is the motive. Daniels is not the crime. His act with Daniels is not the crime. It is the motive in which made him enact the crime. And then moving on to Cohen, again, the way the defense and especially MAGA has tried highlighting all the bad things Cohen has done to try to discredit him, and like, oh, see, look, it's Cohen on trial, when in fact one conspirator in a crime doing something extra bad doesn't clear up the other from the illegal things that they did. And one of the most absolutely brilliant things the prosecution did was set a timer and reenact one of the main phone calls of evidence that they brought, that the defense tried to say, oh, it wasn't about what they said, where Cohen said it was a call with Trump's bodyguard about the hush money payments. The defense tried to say, no, it was actually about a prank call about a 14-year-old. And I think they showed like a small clip of that. But when reenacted, the prosecution started a timer and just reenacted the call word for word, and it resulted in significantly less time on the phone than what was on records for the actual call, ultimately proving that Cohen could have and did discuss more than just that, which was his entire point, was that he did both, and the defense was like, nope. Another brutal point that the prosecution managed to raise was the exact reasons that the defense is trying to get you to reject Cohen are the exact reasons that Trump picked him to work for him in the first place. He was willing to lie and cheat on Trump's behalf, which just further shows the crowd that Trump is willing to surround himself with. Then going on to re-highlight audio that again is pivotal to the election interference part of the case, Trump saying if 5 to 10% of the people believe this audio, they lose the election, which proves again the motive electorally that he had to try and block these things until after the election. Something I would be amiss to not mention is how they also pointed out that if the hush money payment was for his family and it happened in 2006, why did they wait 10 years to pay off Stormy Daniels until 2016, right in the buildup of an election? Oh yeah, it's because his only concern was the election. I mean, if he cared about his family, he wouldn't have done it in the first place, am I right? But one of the defense's main arguments was just the existence of financial records proves that there was no motive to falsify the financial records. However, the prosecution perfectly showed, which would be easy to do, that this is completely circular logic, pointing out that if the records existing excluded the crime, there would be no falsifying business records crime ever, because the records that prove the crime would also prove there was no intent as well, which is circular. And again, it really just boils down to make no sense. Also exposing a Trump lie on social media that happened the same day that Stormy Daniels met with the DA. Surprise, surprise, is just a coincidence, according to Trump, urging the jury to remember that people do in fact lie for a reason. So it was a pretty brutal evisceration. He went just under 5 hours. He countered every point the defense made while also painting the narrative and walking through things in a pretty consistent way. With the prosecution closing going last, it leaves the exact impression on the jury that they want it, and now it's all up to them to see what verdict that ultimately they're going to bring back. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.